the main robot looked like Crow from MS3TK. Like
oh
it
my
just
God,
looked
he
like
did. He actually did though.
Yeah.
it looked like they were just like it was just like a Crowbot, which honestly would have been better if it was just spouting one-liners every time it shot its laser at like the away team, right? Like if it was much better episode.
And had like
well, hang on. Before we start talking about the episode, we should really like recap it so that everybody knows like what we're talking about, right?
No, my bad. I'm sorry, we're getting ahead of ourselves.
No, we haven't even. We're still vamping. We haven't even officially
started.
Don't blow it, guys.
We're janked up. We are all in our element here. So I can't even speak words. That's how good of a podcast.
Proximity alert. Vessel approaching. The vessel is hailing.
Space.
Warning. Warp core collapse in 10 seconds.
We haven't even flubbed our intros yet, so that's how I know.
Well, let's do that now.
Yeah.
Hi.
Are you recording now?
Yes.
Are you recording now?
I've been recording, but before it was just a test. But also, if
motherfucker,
if anyone said anything, don't worry. I'll just take whatever. If anyone said something funny that can be like taken out of context, then I'll set that up like at the very beginning to like hook people in, and then work in the theme song, and then then we'll go back into probably me starting the sentence right now.
Gotta do extra work. Because this is a nicotine episode.
What?
Gotta make sure it's good.
Well, welcome to Left Track. Hi. Why do I start this again? Hi, welcome to Left Track. I'm Eric from Left Track. I'm a hologram of emulating Nicolas Cage's character from Lord of War. Joining me as always is Brian.
Hi, I'm Brian, also known as Trashcan 1312 on Twitch, Twitter, TikTok.
That's staying in
everywhere.
That's staying in. And Zots.
Yeah.
Hi, I'm Zots, the only Zots here and on Twitch.tv/only Zots. My tears are falling down in this party, and I am the saddest little baby in the room. Nice to see you all. Glad to be here.
And special guest, the one, the only, the always lovely Nikatine.
Hi everybody, it's me, Nikatine.
Hey.
For those of you who don't know, I am a huge Star Trek fan. I also run a channel called Fable Scraps. We did a whole show called Star Trek Adventures Loveless. It was based on a tabletop game, but we shot it like a TV show, so it looks kind of like an Adult Swim show. It's super fun if you haven't checked it out. It's Fable Scraps on Twitch, and you can find our past eepisodes on YouTube as well. And we're also doing more tabletop stuff coming up soon, so I'm very excited about that. We're releasing our own game soon. Yeah.
Yeah. I can personally recommend Fable Scraps. Very funny show. Anyone's listening, I highly recommend it.
And better special effects on the episode that we watched of Star Trek.
Thanks. The lowest bar.
So we start out on season 1, episode 11, as listed on Netflix. Arsenal of episode. No. This is our episode 11. I'm sorry. It's season 1, episode 21, Arsenal of Freedom, otherwise known as Planet Raytheon. So we start out. I'm sorry, Nikatine. Could you tell us tell us your history of Star Trek? You're a big Trekkie. That's why we love having you on. What's your history with Star Trek? When did you get into it? How long have you been into it?
How long have I been into Star Trek?
Yeah. What's your general history with Star Trek?
I mean, so
it's been a long time since we had a guest on.
I had sort of flirted with the idea of Star Trek for like my whole life. I just really, it was always in like the periphery of the things that I like to do. I had a lot of friends who were really into it. I had one friend in middle school who was just like hardcore into TNG, Data specifically. I think he wanted to be Data. He was basically Data. And I didn't get really fully like embrace it until I was like in my early mid-20s, and I could like watch it on demand, like on online. And at that point, I'd seen like a bunch of TOS before, but never like seriously watched it until I started watching TNG. And TNG for me was really what like drew me into the franchise for like a ton of reasons. I think mostly because it was just such a distinct look at like a possible utopian future, and like I just really enjoyed how diverse it felt. You know, how every episode was like a new adventure for the crew, and how the problem solving was so different and unique. It's even today is like pretty unique among television shows.
That's wonderful. Okay, could you take that whole thing again from the top? Because I got 3 Steam messages just like back to back.
Oh my god.
No, that's
Eric. Hey, Eric.
Yeah,
Eric.
yeah.
Fuck you.
No, that's great. Yeah, I think I had a very similar upbringing with the Star Trek. I know I watched it a lot as a kid, but I never really rediscovered it until I could like go on Netflix and just watch them all the way through. And I've basically just been doing that forever. I just have Star Trek on to sleep every day of my life. I live Star Trek. I breathe Star Trek. It's destroying my mind.
If you ever end up in a phone call with, Discord call, phones don't exist anymore, with Eric, you're just going to hear some Star Trek in the background. That's just the way it is. So
when I was a small child, my dad took me to the Star Trek TNG like experience in Vegas.
Oh, I've heard legends of this thing.
My dad was really into Star Trek when I was a kid, and so we had that board game where you like put a VHS in. I think they reference it in the latest like Lower Decks.
Yeah,
there's like a video cassette, like a VHS cassette you have to watch with Gowron.
Amazing.
Wait, was it Gowron in?
It was the actor who plays Gowron. I don't know if it was the character Gowron or not, but yeah, there was a Klingon.
I'm familiar with that because I've seen that like on YouTube. I did not know that there was a Star Trek one of those. It's amazing.
There was a whole board game with it. I never really played the board. I was far too young to play it, but I remember that video. I remember seeing that video and thinking, "Wow, this is so cool." You know, I was very, very young. I was far too young to be into board games, but it did instill like a really deep-seated childhood love of Star Trek from then.
I wish I'd gotten the chance to do. I didn't even know that thing was a concept until I saw like people playing them on YouTube.
Yeah. You can get the whole cassette on YouTube. Somebody uploaded the whole thing.
I wonder if they have it on a tabletop sim. That'd be a lot of fun.
That would be great.
That'd be a fun game night. We should find out if that's possible.
I'm gonna look it up right now.
I know they have. I know there's a lot of fan creations of other classic of those like VHS board game things. They've got to have the Star Trek one. They've got to have the Star Trek one.
Totally.
Well, I'd be totally down for that. It sounds like a lot of fun.
Oh yeah.
Yeah, so Left Track, episode 11, Arsenal of Freedom, aka Planet Raytheon, a joke that I wrote down that Zot said. So we
thanks for the credit. Appreciate it. Gotta remind people that
every joke
be funny every now and again.
Every single. All the jokes need to be credited in Left Track, and then I painstakingly timestamp and then credit them every single time. It is by far the part of the podcast that takes the most. I love the Nikatine. I love the Among Us R that you have on your for the Star Trek. It's adorable.
Oh yeah.
I was actually convinced that the episode Symbiosis, when you sent over what episode we needed to watch, I was thoroughly convinced that the Symbiosis episode was actually Conspiracy, which is a couple episodes later.
Yeah.
Where they have like the alien parasite.
Yeah,
they never bring up again.
Yeah.
that's legitimately one of my favorite episodes of Star Trek, and I was shocked that symbiosis was something else. I remembered what it was as soon as it came up, but I was a little bit let down. I was like, man, I want to do that one.
Yeah, which they also actually set up in the episode of Electric that we just recorded, where the two admirals like come onto the ship, and they're like grilling everyone. That's like, there's something wrong on this ship. There's a conspiracy in Starfleet, and we've got to figure it out. We've got to get to the bottom of this shit. And then the episode ends. It's like, oh, they sent a signal out into space, and it's just never dealt with ever again. It's probably like 10 book series on the subject, but we never see it again. But yeah, so we start off with planet Raytheon. They go to a planet. I don't remember the setup. I think like a Starfleet captain.
It's in the Lorenz cluster, and they're looking for the USS Drake because the USS Drake is gone missing, and they're trying to find the crew because Riker's friends with the captain.
Yeah. Riker, they have some on the good ship Lollipop. They have some kind of. There's some kind of issue. The Drake's missing. It's Riker's old buddy from college. Then they get to the planet, and some multi-level marketing AI is still alive, and it talks to them. Then they beam down to the planet. Tasha shows, like, for once in the entire series, that she's not redundant by saying that we got to keep a small team. We got to keep it more mobile. We got to make sure it's safe. And so they only beam down 3 people: the Riker, Tasha, and Data. Right? Data's the other one.
Yeah, Data's
Yeah.
But they discover, oh my god, the planet is filled with weapons that are quote beyond their technology. They're a whole bunch of super weapons. So they decided to beam down to the planet. The planet takes place on Denise Crosby's fifth grade's cousin set, where they're filming a rendition of they're like doing a little rendition of Tarzan or something.
It literally looks like a fucking a middle school stage show.
Very reminiscent of the original series is sound stages. It looks exactly like a sound stage, like a bad one.
Yeah.
Oh really? Man, how awesome would it be if like they doubled down on it and like they had like the actor of Worf like as a tree, like just his face cut out, arms stretched. They have like different characters,
is like a pilgrim dressed in pilgrim outfit.
Yeah.
Getting ready for Thanksgiving, the first Thanksgiving.
No,
that's right.
That's an episode in season 7. We're getting out of it.
Fucking hell! What is it? How do I've never seen this show. What the fuck? This is how I know the writing's terrible, because I can make a silly fucking joke and it's like, oh nope, that happened already. But like we can't talk about it now. We bring this up. This will be like the 3rd episode that I bring it up on.
That's
but like
true.
Once again,
this is true.
I talked about how I think it would be great if like Data did a stand-up comedy set and like was working on their Type 5 in the holodeck, and like y'all are like, nope, that happened, and I'm like, what? I didn't.
Yeah.
That was. No, that's just me talking out of my ass. I don't need to know this.
It's The Simpsons did it principle, but Star Trek did it.
Trek did it.
I guess. Yeah.
So what happens next?
I have a little note here. I have a little director's note here. It's the Les Landau, whose first assignment as director on Star Trek. I was talking about this episode. It was in creative turmoil. It was a massive last-minute rewrite. In 5 years, the only time the company had to shut down because there was no script to be shot. He says, I was familiar with the sets, cast, and crew, although the script was late in appearing. I had all the knowledge and the background to go ahead and do my job, and to this day Arsenal stands out as one of the better shows, certainly one of the shows with the most production value of any we've ever done. Fortunately, all the elements fell together on that first day. I had the total support of the cast and crew. The company had the best job possible. The cast has always been totally supportive, and I want everyone to keep that in mind, because there is a phenomenal production detail that that blew my fucking mind later on in this episode. But I mean, we all, as anyone who's seen the episode knows that's a hilarious joke by the director trying to rewrite history, because this is the cheapest looking shit I have ever seen in my entire life. The original series looks better. The robot is apparently made out of like a
shampoo bottle.
Yeah, a shampoo bottle and like a box that had like leggings in it or something like that.
Oh yeah, leggings, nylon leggings box.
Oh yeah.
So
because this is all, like, it's awful. Like, I cannot stress enough how much this. The hopefully when you pull up a picture, it shows like the plastic.
I got it.
The plastic trees that they had on there.
Yeah, I got
like,
the perfect thing. So what happens next? We gotta finish the summary. So we talk about the
Riker.
True.
Riker finds his buddy. He's clearly some weirdo. I mean, he says something's weird with his face, but like, I don't know if the actor's wearing makeup. I think the actor just had kind of a fucked up face. I was like, why are they saying that? Doesn't the actor just have a fucked up face? It seemed weird, but Riker destroys him with facts and logic, and then the man transforms into a cute little floating robot, with Tasha immediately shoots with a 45, but after it puts Riker into a bubble, Picard decides to beam down with Crusher for some reason, leaving Geordi in command and setting him on a down spiral of ego that will one day lead him to create a sex slave hologram. But they beam down, and oh my god, another cute little robot starts fighting the Enterprise and absolutely fucking wrecking it. It is just tearing the Enterprise apart. The scene also is supposed to be establishing some romantic chemistry between Picard and Crusher. They have like back and forth. Gene Roddenberry was like, no,
they fall down into a hole. They fall down into a hole.
Picard,
and she breaks her leg, and then like I forget. I don't understand if it was like the director who did it, or like if it was unique, but there was like the way she says something to Picard, it is horny for like no fucking reason.
Yeah.
You remember that? Like she was just she was like trying to make a joke or something. She's like, oh, don't push it that hard or something like that. I'm like, what the fuck is this?
Oh no, that's okay. That is later. I have my notes mixed up here.
Oh my god.
But another cute robot appears, and this one can actually dodge. So the Tasha shoots a phaser, and which comes out like about at the speed like you could throw like a softball underhanded, and the robot moves very slightly to the side, and oh my god, it's too fast. It can read her movements. But okay, they shoot two.
It learned how to press D. Move slightly to the right.
So yeah, but it's okay. They have two phasers, so they shoot over. Like, what are we gonna do next? We only have so many phasers that we can shoot in every direction for the robot maybe to move into it and stand into it. But while escaping the cute robots, Picard and Crusher fall down into a hole where Crusher gets her leg stabbed in by a piece of metal and starts getting lockjaw and is bleeding to death. But she is covered for no reason. I don't know why they decided to do this. She is covered in sand. She's just like partially buried in sand throughout the shoot. It's the weirdest thing in the entire world. There's no reason. Like the threat isn't that she's buried. The threat is that she fell down and like broke her fucking leg, and she has like bones like sticking out or something, which makes extra no sense because the sand was apparently infested with fleas.
Yeah, in shooting, there were so many fleas.
They were just
real life.
Yeah. Literally real. This isn't an element of the show. This is a real life. There are just fleas just constantly biting her as she's covered in this flea-infested sand for no reason. I think they just wanted to. Maybe she was just causing a little too much trouble. The actor.
Oh no.
What's her name? Well, I forget her name. Gates McFadden, right?
Yep.
Yeah, Gates McFadden.
Maybe Gates McFadden, because we know they ended up replacing her after this first season for a time. So maybe she was just causing a little too much trouble, and Gene Roddenberry is like, "Get out the flea sand. We're gonna cover her up in it."
Oh my god. Do you think they just went down to the Santa Monica Pier and just like dug up a bunch of sand full of sand fleas?
It went to fleas.
Probably.
Yeah.
Probably. I mean, remember. the actress that played Tasha Yar had to steal food from the Cheers set.
That's right.
So they probably did have to steal sand, if we're being honest.
Well, sometimes you got to go where everybody knows your name, Tasha.
Yeah, nobody knew her name. She was like skulking in the rafters, perched like a crow, just waiting.
Waiting for the Cheers food.
She was descending down on a rope trying to steal donuts for the craft service.
Jesus.
So Crusher says that she can't go to sleep, which is like a very common bad medical advice for like, which happens on Star Trek all the time. Anytime someone's injured, they establish tension. It's like, you can't let them go to sleep. No matter what you do, you can't let them go to sleep. But like, there's very few injuries where like going to sleep would end up like killing someone. Even for a concussion, that's not good to do. But she can't go to sleep. They have to keep her up, which is also going to generate very personal dialogue between these two characters. She asked Picard to find like a root, just snap a root off a tree. Is it bitter? Does it turn skin yellow? Okay, great. Those are the two criteria. Go ahead and stab my
rub it on my body.
Stab my
rub it all over my body.
Just blow out my leg hole with your fucking tree, with your root.
Just hit me with that root.
Root me, Captain.
Not blow out the leg hole. I hate that. Never say that again.
Root me.
I've never rooted anyone before.
I was rooting for him.
There's a first time for everything, Captain.
Rub it on the edge of the legacy.
Oh no!
Wow, this new season of Lovelace is turning out great. This root thing is a skill that she learned from her grandmother, who was apparently like a wasteland survivor on the planet where Fallout, the video game, took place. But back up in the ship, Geordi is in command, and one of the several hundred chief engineers, this is the third one according to my notes, comes up to the bridge to stand around and be racist while demanding Geordi relinquish command to him, and Geordi is like, "Go get back to work before I steal your eyes, before I take those eyes that just stare into the distance past my soul, before I take them and give them to myself. I'm in command. I can do whatever I want with your eyes." But
I am the captain.
The cloaked anti-ship drone is like beating their fucking ass. And the chief engineer he DMs Geordi a bunch of slurs until Geordi relinquishes command. But he actually brought him up to the ship so that he could leave the planet and abandon everyone to die. But oh no, he's actually going to separate the saucer section. Chief engineer, you can take command of the saucer section. This is like the second to last time they ever separate the saucer section until the very end of the series, 7 seasons later.
And every time they separate it, Picard is so fucking angry about it. Like, he comes back and
put this whole thing back together.
No. I stand by it. It's because of Picard's hatred for children that he wants to be the one to jettison the nursery off into space. That's what he wants to be the one to do.
Don't we all? Not anyone else. Don't we all?
Yeah.
I can't fault him.
We get a little scene with Geordi going into the captain's ready room, and I think at the time they were trying to show like oh, look at this guy. Look at this black actor adjacent to a position of permanent command. The scene is actually kind of thoughtful. It's kind of neat. They balance showing like Geordi as a newbie but handling the situation with grace, which is like directly stated by the text. And Troy comes in and lets him know that other people aren't adapting as well as him, and he needs to help the bridge officers. It's a neat little establishing scene for Geordi, which doesn't end up building his character, because he just becomes a chief engineer and then stays a chief engineer, making sex slave holograms for the remainder of the series after like season 1. But But we
better than harvest. It's better than going around the ship trying to harvest eyeballs.
Yeah, that's true. That's true.
I mean, you gotta have it. You gotta have a hobby. You might as well be productive with it. You know.
But we cut back down, and Crusher is still covered with the fucking sand. In real life, Gates McFadden, she's covered with the sand for like 10 hours at a time, like a 10-hour shoot day. Just absolutely just filled with fleas, just fleas covering every part of her body. They find a control panel where they activate Saul Goodman, and the cute little flying robots are apparently an invincible weapon and specifically destroy the entire planet of they're on, which, like, I mean, I don't know, seems unlikely to be, but, like, okay, whatever, that's the conceit of the show. It does seem like the most effective weapons in the entire world. Whatever. Geordi finds the flea hole that they've taken residence in, and they make a whole scene about him jumping 30 feet down safely. And
draw me like one of your flea holes.
The Flussy.
Forbidden flea hole.
Shut up!
Oh no!
Data and Picard are at the control panel, and they have entire access to like an AI that controls it, and also the control panel to control it. But they can't seem to figure out how to stop it from murdering everyone. They make a bunch of suggestions that don't work. I feel like they could. I feel like maybe they could have just found like the turn off button, or like make it attack a tree or something. And instead, their only idea is like, okay, we make it attack itself. It's like, no, just make it target a tree. You can make it target anything. Make it target a tree. Whatever. But for some reason, and then they so their only solution ends up they buy the weapon, which of course, you know, it doesn't mean anything, doesn't do anything, but they like, yes, we buy the weapon, stop the demonstration, stop it from murdering Picard. And it's like, all right, you made a sale, you won't regret it, I'm shutting down the thing. For some reason that doesn't work against like the anti-ship one. So Geordi being a good is we get a scene of him being a good captain, and he develops something that I'm going to call it the Geordi maneuver, where he baits a cloaked the little cloaked drone into going into the atmosphere, which then reveals the drone's position long enough to be fired upon and destroyed.
Smart.
Yeah.
I mean, honestly, I think that's fair, considering like that's smarter than the Picard maneuver, which is just let's we'll project ourselves forward 5 feet, and the boat will actually be in the same spot.
The Picard maneuver
They'll never know.
Really seems to be like one of those things like, oh, well, warp is faster than light, and Gene Roddenberry is like, what are the military applications of such a thing? And he thinks about it for like 30 years, and he goes, I got nothing. Maybe there's like 2 of them, so the other ship doesn't know which one to shoot. It's like, oh, the other ship's like, oh my god, there's one that's really far away and one that's close and shooting at us that wasn't there before. Maybe it's the one that's really close to us and wasn't there before. So Picard, so they beam back up, everyone's fine. Picard says that Geordi is not going to get his deposit back until the ship is back in one piece, and we close on Geordi sitting in the captain's chair, saying engage. Episode over.
You guys, I have so much to say about this episode.
I'm so excited.
Please,
I have so much to say about this episode.
Give me what you
chomping
got.
at the actual bit right now.
I am so curious.
All right, so as my first course of action, I want to just specify that the guy who plays the AI, he's listed as the peddler in the credits. Mm-hmm. He's an AI that just reaches out communications like a beacon to whatever ship is passing by to peddle these these Raytheon gadgets, this Northrop Grumman gear, and this holographic recording is played by none other than Vincent Schiavelli, who, if you don't know him, you've definitely seen him in Ghost, where he plays the subway ghost. He's in the episode of X-Files where Mulder and Scully go to the circus and they do all kinds of weird circus stuff.
He's the subway ghost that knocks shit out of people's hands.
Yeah, he's the subway ghost.
Oh.
He's literally... He's a character actor from the 80s, and honestly, it was only a matter of time before Vincent Schiavelli showed up in Star Trek, because that's his whole thing. He's a character actor.
Yeah. Yeah.
He's one of those guys
you
who's
need,
been in like
you need
a million things, and you've seen him. You just can never remember his name. Vincent Schiavelli. That's the guy.
Yeah, you need creepy guy.
He
Here's
always
creepy
plays
guy.
like smarmy, sweaty, greasy, like sales pitch type people. You know, he's got this leer about him. He's just an excellent smarmy character actor. He's wonderful. He's like, you're right. He's like proto Better Call Saul. He's like proto Saul Goodman sort of, but like skeevier.
You think greasy strangler in your mind? That's the image.
Yeah. So that's the guy who plays the peddler. When Picard hands the keys to the ship over to Geordi, this is like before Geordi is the chief engineer. He's like basically just the driver. He's the helmsman for a lot of this first season.
It's before they have any chief engineer. The chief engineer position on Starfleet ships up until season 2 is just like some kind of like radical like anarchist collective of engineers that share like horizontal like power in the engine room.
It seems like they've had really poor leadership, because the guy who comes to complain, the quote chief engineer who comes to complain to Geordi is throwing his rank around and being like a insolent what's the term when subordinate tries to usurp a higher ranking officer? Insubordinate. He's being super insubordinate, even though Geordi has command of the ship. And Geordi's like character does something really interesting. He like tries to flip it around. He tries to work with the guy. He's like, we don't need this, and what we need you is to do what you're best at, which is being an engineer. He's like trying to gas the guy up to like go back downstairs and do his job, And like it would have been really easy. It would have been really easy for Geordi to just cave under that pressure, because he's never been the captain before, but he doesn't. And I think that's really interesting, and it lays the groundwork for Geordi's like eventual command of becoming a chief engineer and command of a ship later on in Voyager.
Yes, he directed that episode too. Yeah.
As somebody that doesn't give a shit about like Star Trek Protocol, I would have, as Geordi, I would have been like, who the fuck are you? I've never seen you. What? You're telling me that you're a higher rank? I've never even seen you in anywhere in these chairs. My ass, deck. Every day.
You know where you have seen him. He plays Bogdan in Grand Theft Auto.
Does he?
That's his other claim to fame. He's in Grand Theft Auto.
Interesting.
Good for him. Still doesn't give him like the chops to like talk shit to LeVar Burton. Is all I'm saying.
LeVar's like, I'm on the bridge crew. You fucking whelp.
Yeah.
Unable to comply. Specify parameters.
Everyone enjoying the show? You having a great time? Go check out the other episodes of Left Trek on Left Trek. Just type in Left Trek in YouTube.
Go check out the previous episode with Nikatine. It's one of our best too.
It's the worst. It's the worst episode of. I've least today that it's actually the least listened to episode of Left Trek.
Yeah, I guess in the marketplace of ideas, I'm
glad that I'm so infamous that I could ruin your guys' show with just the tone of my voice. I hope to conquer that record, and maybe this one will be even worse.
This will get 1 view. It'll be me watching it over for audio.
It'll get 5 views because I'll watch it 4 more times.
Mandate all your mods watch it right now. Go into the Discord.
Watch the episode. You're no longer a mod.
That's right.
What else? We got anything else? Any other little tidbits? Any little insights? And anything else to say about the arsenal of freedom?
Because the episode after, from my end, no, because like the episode after this like broke me. It hurt me.
I have a few more things. This is
Nikatine's favorite episode of Star Trek.
This is the favorite episode for me. All of the footage of the saucer separation is reused footage from the last time they did saucer separation.
Yes, it is. Yes.
And the music, I think, is too.
They didn't do any new footage of that. They just reused all of the saucer separation footage.
Same footage, same music, like all.
Which is fine. Which means that they could have done it again anytime that they were in there. That is beautiful. Like that is like 80s and 90s
in like an
that
anime.
is 80s and 90 anime. Like all that's what they did all the time.
Yes.
And original Gundam, that's what they did. It was like you would see the RX-78 just like shooting, like driving around. It'd be like the same shit from the last 3 episodes, but like they would replace the background with space, or they'd put it on a planet. Like that was it. But it was the same action. They could have done that over and over again, and it would have made sense. They could have kept it up, but no, they just got lazy. That's my opinion.
One person, someone always mentions like Gundam on like every episode of Left Track. Would you be surprised that it's
me?
you?
It's me. I'm sorry, it's me.
This is the first episode that we learn that Riker turned down command of a ship of his own, and it became like a running theme throughout this whole show of Riker having turned down his own. It even like it culminates in like a season finale episode.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
There's an excellent season finale episode of Star Trek. I think it's like season 3 finale, right?
Best
of both worlds.
Yeah, it's one of the one of the setups for
it's like a 2-parter
for Best of Both Worlds. Yeah.
And this is the first
3
time
leading into season 4.
It's the first time we learn about that he turned down command of the ship they're looking for.
He just loves that Enterprise. He loves being on the Enterprise. He loves all these people. You know what? I think I know why. After the Enterprise's holodeck got upgraded, it's the only ship in Starfleet that he can make make holograms, make programs delivering to his very specific taste in sultry brunette jazz women.
Give me computer. Give me a bone.
it's or some other type of bone. Please specify.
You know what I mean.
Is deploying now.
I gotta keep this in mind because I have a cold open that I've planned out for a while, and I need specifically someone to do a computer voice. Yes. So what else?
You know that big cannon? You know the big cannon they find in the jungle?
The
goofy cannon
weapon beyond all technology.
So there's like a big goofy cannon that they find. It's inoperable. It's the first thing they find, and they say in the show it's still operational, but you don't actually see it being used, I don't think. That cannon, the prop for that cannon, they actually kept and used again like 20 years later, or 30 years later for or 20 years later for Enterprise. They used it in Enterprise.
Oh really? What did they use it as in Enterprise?
In Enterprise, it pops up in an episode called Demons, and it's when they find a 22nd century mining laser used on Luna.
Oh, I guess,
yeah. There's like a mining laser. It's the same prop.
They just kept
They kept it. They're like, yeah, we'll use it someday. That Godzilla looking Tesla cannon.
Do we know if that prop was assembled for the show? Was it assembled to be covered in like fake vines on the paper mache jungle set?
Yeah, I guess. I don't know if it had a history.
That is amazing.
They went to like Gene Roddenberry is just like walking around on set, just like scratching his head. He sees like one kid, some grip kid, just like in the background. He's like, "Hey, you're doing a really good job over there. You look really crafty. I have a big episode coming up, and it's gonna establish a lot of lore. Can you build something for me?" And he hands him like a napkin with like a child's drawing of a ray gun on it. And this kid's just like, this is my chance. I can do this. And he like goes overboard, spends his money going to Home Depot, asking friends, sweating in his basement, brings his fucking, Geo Metro on the strapped to the hood of his car. And he's like, here it is. And Roddenberry's like, that's great. All right, now cover it in flea sand and fucking Halloween Express sea moss. And we'll never see it again.
The kid's like, this is how I get my promotion to key grip.
Yeah.
This is one of the greatest handmade props of all time. It's on screen for like two seconds, and then 20 years later, another 2 seconds.
Yeah, fucking just imagining the Forspoken grip being watching the show 20 years later, being like, Billy, I made that. I made that one. Okay, Grandpa.
No one cares. Shut up.
There's a thing about how like a huge portion of the cast from One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest has appeared in Star Trek because they're all character actors who were in the movie One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest, and they were all really active around in the 80s.
Yeah,
so
rest in peace, Kai Wynn.
Yeah,
so there's a huge portion of the cast of One Flew Over the Cuckoo's Nest who've been in Star Trek, and this is one of those episodes because Vincent Schiavelli is in both.
Oh, cool,
yeah.
okay.
because Christopher Lloyd is in the Star Trek 3: The Search for Spock, and Louise Fletcher is in Deep Space Nine, and Brad Dourif is in Voyager. And now we just have to get Danny DeVito on Strange New Worlds, and then
I will actually watch Strange New World. I will 100% watch Strange New World if Danny DeVito comes on. That'll be my go-to. 100.
It'd be really easy to get him on Lower Decks, though. He's a big fan of doing voice acting at this point.
Yeah.
So. Just saying.
Oh man, can we get Danny DeVito to voice the computer?
in a new Star Trek show.
I'm deploying the phasers.
Computer, run diagnostics.
The computer offers an egg and it's trying.
I get around to it. I want to eat this egg.
Computer, engage blasting.
So I just started blasting.
But, I think, Captain, I think something's wrong with the replicator. It just keeps producing something called rum ham.
So I just started calculating.
I really gotta rewatch Always Sunny in Philadelphia. I watched it when I was in high school. I have not watched it since, and everyone tells me it holds up. Everyone tells me it's still super funny.
I would die if Danny DeVito was on Lower Decks. That would be so good.
All right, Danny DeVito,
absolutely.
Come on Left Track.
Come on, Danny.
I
love your work.
You spoke at Bernie Sanders rallies, right? You're cool. Let's get
Left Track.
Once we get a listener that can tell me how to get in touch with Hollywood agents, you let me know, and I will personally write Danny DeVito the email inviting him to Left Track.
I'm sure Danny DeVito has a cameo. Just look it up. Just have him do an intro. Just have him do an intro.
George Costanza is in an episode of Voyager.
Sure is.
Oh yeah.
Hold on. Let me upload an image you can share with your stream.
Isn't Nedry? Nedry's in a Star Trek episode too, right?
Nedry? Who's Nedry?
From Jurassic Park, the guy who plays Nedry. He was also on Frasier, or not Frasier. Seinfeld. Remember the guy who plays the computer hacker in Jurassic Park? Nedry.
I'm hardly familiar with Nedry. If I look at his face, I can tell.
You'll know.
He laughs like a cartoon dog. Like.
Oh, he plays. Doesn't he play?
Newman.
No.
Oh,
Newman.
Newman. He's Newman. Yeah.
Newman. He's in an episode of Star Trek, isn't he?
Was he? I don't know.
I'm pretty sure I've seen him in Star Trek before.
Dennis Nedry. Let me look up Dennis Nedry Star Trek. I'm very curious. Dennis Nedry Star Trek.
Wayne Knight is his name.
Wayne Knight? Which one's Wayne Knight?
His name is Wayne Knight, the guy who plays Nedry. I'm pretty sure he's in Star Trek somewhere.
I thought that was his name. I was like, wait, what? Wayne.
Oh man, maybe not. Maybe I'm thinking of somebody else. He's not in it.
Yeah, I was thinking was he like one of those people, one of those like really big like actors or musicians that goes on Star Trek and their face is just completely covered just head to toe.
rolls and ridges.
Yeah, what there was someone came on as some big pop star or something came on as in a fish person costume, some big rock musician was on as a
it was Iggy Pop, right? Wasn't that Iggy Pop?
Iggy Pop, yes.
Amazing.
Wasn't the Rock was in DS9, right?
The Rock was in Voyager.
Voyager.
He kicks Jerry Ryan in the chest. Jerry Ryan beats the shit out of Dwayne the Rock Johnson in an early acting career of Dwayne the Rock Johnson in an episode of Voyager. It does rule. One of
the reasons that I like this episode so much, before we move on from it, I want to say that one of the best parts about this episode for me, probably the crowning achievement of this episode for me, is that it does not include Will Wheaton whatsoever. Like,
Oh, true.
Wesley is not a part of this episode.
Beautiful.
He's not referenced. He's not mentioned. He's nowhere to be found, and that's just
Those
golden
have
for me.
been the consistently good episodes of season 1, absolutely, including the one I really like that everyone that these two make fun of me for, the Iran Contra episode. I was like, I love this revenge tale. It's like, bruh, it's about the Iran Contra affair and how like maybe Reagan had a good point or something.
Yeah. Don't worry.
I love this episode.
Don't worry. That's my job here on Left Trek. It's to give it that discerning eye, and that's why the next episode broke me. But before we leave this episode, I just want to say, I will appreciate any episode that allows Data, the act, whatever. I don't know what's his name.
Brett Spiner.
Yep.
Okay, Brett Spiner, that allows him to just do his thing. Him and Picard just chewing the fuck out of the scenery anytime they're on screen is like the only thing that keeps the season 1 going for me, in my opinion. Because like when they're on the edge of the hole, right, and they're looking down, and like he tells Tasha Yar, he's like, I think I can jump down there.
Right.
Or it's like, I know I can jump
Data,
there.
it must be 10 meters, and Data's like, actually, it's 11.62347.
and then Riker's like, this fucking toaster always talking back to me. but like anytime, that's the thing, right? It's like, I understand like the kind of theme behind Data's character is that everyone kind of like treats Data like a human, right? So they like in aspects, right? Like that's the back and forth, right? Riker says to Data, treats Data as if he would any other crewmate, right? Where it's like, hey, I don't want you to hurt yourself because you're a meat bag, right? But obviously Data's not, right? So Data has to remind them at certain points,
mostly water.
but Data has to remind them every once in a while, like, no, I'm a robot, remember? But then every other episode, everybody goes out of their way to remind Data that he's not human. Like every other episode he goes through, at least from what I've seen, it's just like any time where it's like Data's not putting himself in danger, they're just like, but Data, you're not human. Like, once again, hey, Geordi, what are you doing in here? Oh, I'm teaching Data how to paint because he's expressing creativity. But you're blind. What kind of joke is this? A blind guy teaching a robot? Sure, yeah, okay, whatever. like any other time, like they treat Data like shit. But but like when it comes to like a time where it's like Data's like, hey, everyone, remember, like, I'm an android and I can just do things you can't. Data, stop, please. Don't just randomly just jump down there and solve the problem. Like, we could have cut out 15 minutes of the episode here. Okay, we need to keep it going. We need more drama. You can't stop that.
There's two universes colliding in the Star Trek universe, right? It's two universes. One in which Data is treated as a robot, and one in which Data is treated as a human. And it's just hard to tell which episode's which sometimes. Right?
It's funny you should use the phrase two universes, because there's a comic book that's like the Mirror Universe comic book of TNG, where
With the Dominion. I mean,
no,
Terran. What is it?
The Terran. The
Terran Empire.
Empire, right?
Yeah, that's right.
So like there's this running theme throughout the TNG era version of the Mirror Universe comic where everyone refers to Picard and his pet robot Data. And they've already conquered the Borg, so they've modified Data with all of these hardcore obliterating weapons of war. And Data's like he's like in Iron Giant when Iron Giant becomes the war machine, He's got a gun arm and a targeting reticle in his eye. He's like, I just want to be human.
They turn him into Adam Sandler.
Why did you make him sound like Forrest Gump?
He's a little derpy in the Mirror Universe.
I just want to be human, Captain Picard. Jordy, you can't see.
Picard and his pet robot again.
Oh my god.
Wesley actually
Jordy's got magic eyes.
in the mirror universe, Wesley becomes emperor of the Terran Empire, according to a recent expansion of the Star Trek Online MMO.
Oh, okay,
no.
okay. It's from that. Okay, I was gonna be like, no way, they did not, but they did. Okay, got it. It's the MMO. Okay.
In the comic book, Wesley shows up too, but he's like a 14-year-old emo kid.
Important question. Does he die?
I don't know if I've gotten that far. He definitely is responsible for putting Picard in like one of the pain booths or whatever.
Okay, well, you know,
It's like a sadistic little twerp.
Oh fuck, what are they called? The agonizers.
Yeah, agonizer booth. That's right. The agonizer booth.
I've been checking out like individual episodes of TOS just like as they come on, like as my girlfriend's watching them, and I just saw that one recently. People really love the Mirror Universe stuff. It's so strange that like it's only in one episode of the original series, and it's a running like subplot that takes up like maybe 5 episodes in Deep Space Nine, and there's none of it at all in TNG or Voyager.
There's an episode in TNG.
No. There's only yesterday's Enterprise, which is just like a time anomaly. That's not the Mirror Universe though. That's just a time anomaly where they've been at war with the Klingons for a long time.
Oh, okay.
But they really do play with the Mirror Universe a lot in Deep Space Nine, and that's fun as hell.
Oh yeah.
There's another comic about the Mirror Universe in Voyager, where instead of wanting to go back to the Beta Quadrant or whatever,
establishes her own Imperium.
She establishes her own like dominion over it, and she becomes a pirate. It's awesome, actually. She's like a hardcore space pirate queen.
I would have if Voyager had just gone in that direction, it would have been absolutely my favorite series, hands down. It also comes back for a 2-parter in I know they use
Enterprise.
it a lot in Discovery, but who cares?
In Enterprise, there's a Mirror Universe.
Yes, it comes back for a 2-parter
where Dr. Phlox becomes like Dr. Mangala. He gets like a black leather uniform.
Yeah, he loves torturing people.
Yeah, he's just like really into torture.
It's a 2 episodes. I'm the Enterprise. I'm a resident Enterprise defender. I
like Enterprise.
Thank you so much. I really like a lot of Enterprise. That 2-parter is magnificent. It's one of my favorite 2-parters in the whole Star Trek canon. And I love the ending of it too. It's and Scott Bakula's a good actor. God damn it, he plays like a deranged like monster just so well. I love it. Big wreck to Star Trek.
My favorite part of Enterprise is just that T'Pol is kind of the first like real representation the bimbo community has ever had in Star Trek, because she's a Vulcan, right? And Vulcans are supposed to be like the smartest creatures around, and she spends the entire show looking perpetually confused. She's like
oiled
perpetually
up, she's
baffled.
biting her lip.
She's like she's the best like bimbo representation that Star Trek has ever had.
I remember when we had Jessie on, because she does this Sex and Star Trek series. Recommend everyone go check that out. And she's talking about the sex character. It's like one of the few like sex positive characters. She's talking about Riker, like a sex positive character, Riker. And I remember going, oh, you don't like the sex positive character of T'Pol from Enterprise?
The first Bimbulcan, if you will.
Oh my god.
And something I mentioned like now like ages ago. It was not Iggy Pop actually plays a smug Romulan like senator, I believe, in Deep Space Nine. The rock star that is covered like head to toe, like completely recognizable, is dressed like a fish, is Mick Fleetwood. Fleetwood Mac is like a fish people delegation that shows up on.
Awesome. Oh yeah, they're the ones who have to sit in the water for a while, right? They've got like some really weird stuff going on.
Oh
Their
yeah,
food is like, isn't their food like actually other fish? They just have like a tub of smelly fish, and that's what they have to eat.
I don't remember that. Probably gonna skip this. Probably gonna skip that episode.
Is that the same episode? That might be.
It might. I think it's
They
also.
they just talk like.
Oh yeah, that's I can see it right now. It's season 2 because of the picture of them with Dr. Pulaski. I think that's a Loxana Troy episode where she's like, "Oh yeah, these two, they're murderers. I read their minds. Arrest them."
I loved Pulaski. Pulaski's my favorite character.
Oh, yeah.
She's so good.
I was gonna mention that too. Zotz, if you love people being bigoted to Data, you're gonna love season 2 with Dr. Pulaski.
I mean, I don't like it. I just think like when you're, because like everyone said, like the first season of TNG is, you know, like awful, and like one of the telling things is how like how poorly they treat Data and Geordi, like both of them just get treated like shit.
And Worf.
What do you mean, Worf?
Worf gets
Brings it on himself sometimes.
Yeah, Worf also gets way worse later. Where Worf just gets beat up all the time.
He's not that bad in season 1. He gets very worse. He becomes like an MRA in Deep Space Nine.
That's true. Yeah,
he becomes just an awful person. What the fuck was I gonna say? Oh, whatever. Hold on. I'm gonna drink some water. Give me 1 second. We'll be right back.
I love saucer separations, you guys. I'm a big saucer separation fan.
It's good. It's a beautiful little video that they made for it that they get to reuse. 3 times? 3 times. I think it's 3 times.
Yeah, you can record just like the barest minimum of B-roll and then just fill it for like future episodes. Just reuse it just like over and over and over again.
Anime method. Yeah. It's beautiful.
I've done that on Loveless before. I've like because I've had it takes me a long time to generate a little video of like a shuttle leaving or something. So I'll just like flip it sometimes.
Oh, for sure. It's it's a classic when it comes to making television.
Yeah.
It's just you use what you can. You work with your budget.
They had the model for TNG. It's like a large miniature, like a big miniature, like the size of like a dining room table type of miniature. And they only have one of these giant miniatures, and they like on the side of the ship they have the rafts or whatever that hold it up. And they mat out everything around it, and they just film the miniature in with a high-speed camera so it looks super smooth. And then what they do to film the other side of the ship is they just flip the image, and they put the decals on backwards.
Oh, cool.
That's beautiful.
It's awesome. You get to see it in the Reading Rainbow episode with LeVar Burton, where he takes you on an adventure through the special effects of TNG.
Oh, that's cool.
They do the transporter effect with like a glass of water with glitter in it.
Yeah, that
I just a glass of water with glitter, and that's the transporter effect.
Oh yeah,
literally that's almost exactly how I do it on Loveless too. I found like a swirly glitter video, and I mask it out of the actors.
I didn't know that you were recreating the physical effects for it. That's fucking
that's tight as fuck.
Cool. I thought you found or made like a plugin for it. That's fucking
no.
Awesome.
I do it all live in OBS. Yeah.
That is so cool. Holy shit.
I love Nika does nothing easy is what I've learned in the small amount of time. Like she's nothing easy. Everything has to be like done.
A lot of I don't know how much you guys know about OBS, but it's like the program that people use to stream, and most people have like 3 or 4 scenes, like a starting screen and like a streaming scene and like an ending scene or a BRB screen or whatever. Most people have like 3 or 4, and I have like like at least a couple hundred.
You got some folders.
I've got at least a couple hundred. I have certain scenes that are nested like 3 or 4 times into other scenes, so that I can do like ridiculous over the top effects and stuff.
When I streamed, even when I was like grinding out for partner, I had 2, and one was just my shit, and the other one was BRB screen.
Yeah, totally.
We're recording on OBS right now. I record this podcast on OBS, and I'm just recording a black screen, just a perfectly black screen.
We're working on an update to that, but that is where we're at right now,
It does Discord I feel like does actually have like a very kind of an interesting like audio quality to it. I don't know why, and I might be crazy for suggesting this, but like I you know what? Never mind. we are going to be switching up our audio stuff.
We gotta the next episode. Of Star Trek.
Don't you dare do my transition. The next episode. we are
my intro.
Wait! I actually have one more thing.
Okay, let's go.
One more thing to say. My last thing, I promise.
Give me some content.
So the guy that they find, the captain, the guy.
Mm-hmm.
What's his name? The captain of the
lollipop.
The Drake. The captain of the Drake.
You're talking about Riker's friend.
Riker's friend, from the academy.
Like a friend.
So the friend that he finds on the surface, there's constant references to that. It's not a life form. That's not a life. It's got no life signs. And Riker's like, I know. Shut up. I'm talking to it. And he starts making fun of it. He's like, yeah, my ship's a lollipop. And the guy's like, what is the complement of the lollipop? How many crew members? What is its weapons capabilities? And Riker's like, it's full of candy, you dweeb.
I did fucking take I did get upset when he said lollipop. I'm like, really? They're going with the good ship lollipop? How many? Yeah, it's a good ship. Yeah. I'm like, how many years in the future?
It's a Shirley Temple bit. And no, I think it makes sense. I honestly think it makes sense because there's the movie. Right. It's a Generations where Picard has the Gilbert and Sullivan musical playing in the shuttle. I am of the opinion that Picard probably makes the whole crew listen to like 19th century musicals. It makes perfect sense that they'd have like a Shirley Temple night.
Yeah, for sure.
It's probably Riker making fun of Picard for making him watch the Good Ship Lollipop.
Yeah, does anybody call anybody Daddy Warbucks?
Picard makes everyone call him Daddy Warbucks.
It's like everyone. It's like
report. Everyone report to the holodeck.
Well, it's like how in Enterprise where they have bad movie night. They play like movies from the 50s or earlier.
Or Voyager when Tom Paris does the Buck Rogers style holodeck stuff.
Yeah.
So the thing I wanted to say about this was just that I think it's actually thoroughly plausible that there will be weapons that act like humans. I talk about this a lot. It's a big thing for me. Robots now are cute. They're like these derpy little dogs, the derpy dog robots that just bounce around and look cute. And we've already attached guns to them. Like we already have guns on them. But I'm of the opinion that in the next 20 to 30 years, maybe not even that long, we'll start to see those robots not only deployed in conflict zones, but also equipped with features that make them difficult for humans to kill. Either they'll squeal like a dog when you shoot them, they'll go, or they'll have facial recognition and be able to pull up footage of your loved ones or your family, and they'll use AI to generate a voice equivalent to your loved ones, and they'll be like in pain. When you kill it, it'll be like screaming in the voice of like your lover or your children.
Oh God! Could you imagine that like once the new revolution comes in the happens here, like after people just like can't afford to eat anymore, jobs can't afford housing and all that shit, right? And they deploy those SWAT dogs, and yeah, you hear what you thought that your partner was dead, right? Murdered in the streets at the blockade, trying to get food rations, but then you hear their voice. Sad Hulk music starts playing behind it as it's like trying to call you back. Over.
Dun, dun, dun. So I think that this whole thing about how the robot is like pretending to be Picard or Riker's friend is like thoroughly plausible and will be here on Earth in the next 20 years or so.
There you go, Nikatine at the lathe of heaven, just laying it down.
I'm looking forward to the T1000 deployments.
Listen, I'm okay with any advances in psychological like military technology as long as it leads to holograms you can have sex with.
Remember the world has
out of the holodeck.
remember we went over this before, Eric. There's a timeline of shit that has to happen. Before we don't get the holodeck, okay? We get the bullshit of being like put into the camps for being poor first.
Yeah, the first metric for two things got to happen. America's got to open those sanctuary districts throughout the United States and San Francisco, and Ireland has got to unify through use of terrorism in 2024. Otherwise, if those things don't happen, we're not on the Star Trek timeline. So we got to do whatever we can to both make concentration camps for homeless people in San Francisco. That's done. That's pretty much done. And,
that's already done. Yeah.
And Irish unification of 2024. Yeah. If that happens, then all we need to do is have the eugenics wars and World War III, and then we're fucking set.
We also need to have those goofy eugenics wars soldiers with the smelling salts.
Yes.
Right? Yeah. From the first episode of TNG.
They got the drug sniffers. They just like
drug
put them in their nose and they go, "I'm so high." Shoot.
Yeah, and they're wearing like carpets. Yeah.
Yeah.
Check out Left Trek episode 1 for that episode. Are those from the eugenics wars, or are those from?
Those are from the eugenics wars
from World War III, which might be different wars.
I think it's the same war, isn't it?
They're either the same or different.
I thought World War III was started I thought World War III was started from the eugenics wars. I thought that was how World War III started.
That's plausible. There's definitely an answer for this, but I do not know it. They talk about them like they're different sometimes, then they also imply they're the same in other parts of the show. I'm sure there's some kind of official timeline for it.
World War I and II, same thing.
I'd be fine if there was never any other superhuman eugenics plot lines in Star Trek ever. Having sat through the last half of Enterprise and being bored to tears.
That one of the unforgivable crimes of Enterprise is the mid 2000s like edgy super teens
God,
that sucked. That sucked.
It was just
so
a
much.
really flimsy excuse to get Brent Spiner back into into Enterprise.
And I always thought that was like Noonien Soon, that was just the same guy, and he just lived for a really long time and then ended up making Data.
No, it's like a whole extended family of clones, I guess. So the eugenic stuff is a cornerstone of Picard. That's like the whole point of Picard.
Yeah.
And it's also, it crops up again in Strange New Worlds, but it's very quickly forgotten about, which is good.
Thank goodness.
So, yeah.
Oh God, Picard. Oh God, Picard.
Yeah, you forgot. You pleasantly forgot that was the thing, huh?
We actually.
You're welcome.
Left Trek started with instead of Zots, we had Elliot from Internet Today, and we watched. We were gonna watch through like new Trek shows as they came out. So we watched the first episode of Picard for our first our first recording, and it was just the worst thing I'd ever seen. It wasn't just like like not Star Trek, it was one of the single like worst 2 episodes of television that I'd ever seen in my entire life. They were so bad. I hated them so much that it killed the whole fucking project for me. It killed Left Trek for a year. I'm just like, I'm done. I can't.
I lost my job.
I can't do this.
My bank account got overdrawn. I have to pay alimony now.
Alex Kurtzman came to my house and fucked my wife. He fucked my wife and killed my dad. It was awful.
My car broke down. My dog ran away.
California caught on fire.
Only forced you to watch one of those 2 things happen.
You're either gonna watch episode 2 or you're gonna watch something else.
Listen, is New Trek, is Alex Kurtzman's New Trek responsible for the California wildfires and the destruction of many hometowns that are like right next to me recently, and the town of Paradise, California? Did Alex Kurtzman burn down Paradise, California? Is he responsible? Well, a lot of people are saying a lot of things, and I'm not going to weigh in here.
We're just asking questions. All right,
we're just asking questions here. I'm
I'm trying to think of any more social commentary on this. I mean, other going back to the episode, yeah, it's the Raytheon thing, and I think that if there's like one constant trend that this episode points out, it's just like how, like, you know, once again, like this it maintains that idea that the next generation is just the West Wing in space, because it's like they cannot see ahead of their own asses when it comes to like investigating other planets, because there's like time and time again where they like sit there and they're like, we are so advanced and we are the pinnacle of achievement for all of, you know, space in spacedom. So that's why we have the prime directive, so that we don't fuck anything up, because we're so advanced. But then like every time they come up, they stumble somewhere, like, this technology is just we can't discern it. Like this weapon, we've never seen anything this strong before. This is beyond our means on this backwards planet. This is beyond our means for these people who have this technology that they built from the ground up that exceeds our own, but they're still backwards. Like they get everywhere they go, it's always backwards, and it's just
Zotch is the Rube. Keep in mind, Zotch only seen season 1 of the Next Generation up to this point.
I want to say something to that, and it's that I personally, as someone who like writes a Star Trek show, I want to say that I strongly prefer a Star Trek where the main crew has to solve problems, you know, where they are encountering things that like they don't understand and they have to understand to progress, or like things that they have to solve, you know.
Okay,
like,
all right. But Nika, let me ask you something. Do you paint your in your writing, do you paint your protagonist or write your protagonists or your crew, or set it up for them to just be condescending colonizers across the galaxy?
No, of course not.
Okay, all right, that's my thing. Like everything about like this, everything that I've seen so, because remember, this is the only Star Trek that I've ever seen. Like I'm watching this clean slate, have no fucking idea, like no context for any of the shit that's going on. So like watching this, like every time like they go somewhere, the start of it is, it's like, this is the first time that we've been out here. Yes, aren't you excited for the adventure that we're going to see? Yes. We're so big, our ship is so powerful, like we can do all these things, and these people are going to be so surprised when they see how big our ship and our proton torpedoes are. That's right, Captain, they're so backwards, and they're, you know, these bucktooth yokels out here in the sticks, they're, you know, we're just gonna be so great. And then they scan the planet and they're just like, we've never seen technology like this before. How do these backwards people, hillbillies, know what the fuck's going on?
But hang on, but even if that was true, like, wouldn't it be better?
It is true.
Even if that was true, wouldn't it be better that it's that instead of the other way, where it's like, where they just go around dominating everyone and like subjugating people?
Episode 2.
Exactly.
Wow. You want to talk about the worst episode?
Where the empath stares at a planet, and the only, like, where a planet where they have, where like the where they have teleport, where like they started off and everybody is bitching that the Prime Directive is making it more difficult for them to solve their problems. Where the empath sits there and he's like, Captain, if we just launched a photon torpedo and showed them our power and disrupted their atmosphere, we would just be able to do whatever we want here. And he's just like, yes, I know, Troy, but the Prime Directive and all. And then they're like, wait, they have teleporting technology. Yeah, we don't know how it works. It's more advanced. I think it's more advanced than ours. And like they just ignore it. Like they just everything that this planet has is just backwards. And then it turns out that like the biggest reason is because it's a planet entirely inhabited by black people. Like that's the thing, which we found out was the director's fault, right? Mm-hmm. Everybody wanted to walk off set for it.
He's still traumatized. Zotz is still.
I'm still traumatized.
We watched those episodes like a year ago, and Zotz is still having flashbacks to Code of Honor.
It haunts me because it literally sets like the precedent.
All Star Trek is for Zotz.
It literally sets up the whole Federation for me, or whatever the fuck it's called.
It's like fair. I mean, that is
Federation or whatever it's called.
They set it up.
Zotz, you sweet baby.
whatever it is, whatever the fuck it's called, it sets up everything like they try to like position themselves as being like these holier than thou fucking unity of people. We don't have we are beyond money. We are beyond this and that and everything.
I would argue that the holier than thou attitude is constantly subverted by everything they get into. Like they're holier than thou, but none of their holier than thou stuff can get them out of a problem. It's just like teamwork and problem solving that can get them out of teamwork. Like they literally have to like work to get out of problems. Like the core room episode where Wesley walks through the flower bed and like has to be put to death or whatever. Like like their holier than thou stuff is useless in that context, or even this episode where they're holier than thou about this useless planet without any life signs, and then they get befuddled by a flea hole. Like their holier than thou stuff is constantly subverted,
and they never learn. They continue to fly through the galaxy with the same sentiment of like, hey, remember that?
All right, Zotz.
Are we gonna stop our neoliberalism through the stars? Even though we've been shown over again.
Let's put the roots to bed and continue.
Also, I just wanted to say, there's even in Code of Honor, that notoriously awful episode, they have one small subversion in it about that whole concept. Where the people on the planet talk about how the Enterprise is uncivilized, and that the people on the planet are civilized. Kind of commenting on how this is all like, it is all kind of in the eye of the beholder. It's all subjective to like culturally subjective, and they at least comment on it, which was something that I wouldn't have expected from the entire rest of that episode. But they do that a lot. It's just
don't worry. This whole section is getting cut out and put on the Patreon under the premium episode Rube Takes.
Rube Takes. Hell yeah. I just want to say that the next episode we're going to talk about proves my point.
Word, you're not wrong on that.
let's get to that now then. And there are some wonderful little tidbits from this one. But we're gonna have a lot to say on this one. Symbiosis, season 1, episode 22. Symbiosis, CAA planet. They go to see this star. They're going to this system to check out this. I guess they're there to check. Are they there to check out the star?
There's an anomaly. There's a magnetic anomaly with the star, and they want to examine the star for science.
The star's going nuts. They put it up on the view screen. They're like, "Oh God, it's too bright." You open the window, and now we can see the sun. Computer, put a dot on the sun so it's less bright.
Oh yeah, I remember that.
He just kind of flies in. They just drag it on top of it.
It would have been fucking great if they just had like Wesley come come out with a giant black like reflector, like to like stand in front of the vid screen.
Neck, it's all burned.
Wesley can see it through the window.
Wesley gets the worst case of skin cancer and just dies.
Or alternatively, only Picard. It's only actually blocking it for Picard. Everyone else is just getting full blast, and Picard can see the screen just fine.
Picard forces the rest of the crew to like go to like the observation deck, like the glass bowl on the top of the fucking the top of the ship, while he's like protected on the deck.
So it's the sun is experiencing a magnetic anomaly. They look at it. There's solar flares everywhere. There's sunspots. Look at these sunspots, and clearly the writers don't actually know what a sunspot is, but that's fine. Whatever. It annoys me though, because I'm a nerd. But they get a distress signal. They encounter a ship in trouble, and they hail it. But oh my god, the people on the other ship, they're real dum-dums. They don't know how to do their ship right. They're gonna burn up in the atmosphere. They don't even know what the issue is having. They're all really lazy. They're checked out of it. They're so dumb. Everyone's like, wow, these people don't know how to use their own ship. This guy's been the captain of this freighter for 7 years, and he doesn't even know how to align a field coil. They kind of have like fun. They kind of have funny line delivery, like the whole point. Like they sound like stoners for some reason. A bunch of stoners on this spaceship. But the guy, he doesn't care about. The guy doesn't care about shit. They're super relaxed. They need to be transported out of there because the ship's gonna explode. But they beam over some fucking barrels, of shit that smell real skunky for some reason. They're like, they sent over the barrels instead of themselves. What's the deal with this? And then they only get 4 out of the 6 of them out because they sent over the barrels and instead of not doing that. So those 2 people, they end up dying. By the end of the episode, those people have died for nothing. Just keep that in mind going forward. 2 people are dead. One of the 2 groups, one of the 4 people that showed up, the TV will be turned off in 5 minutes. No, don't turn off my monitor.
Wait, what?
Wow.
Oh, you're talking. Oh, my bad.
Sorry.
I was like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about?
This episode's only 5 minutes long.
My TV's canceling me. I don't know what's going on here.
I was so confused. I was like, wait, what the fuck are you talking about? Like,
so they beam up 4 people. 2 of them are dressed really nice, and 2 of them are dressed like freaking bums. They're all dirty.
Space David Bowie and Lady Space David Bowie.
True.
So, they're having some kind of trade dispute over those barrels. The payment for them have exploded, and the rich people are saying the barrel is theirs. And for some reason, that's just the assumption that the barrel is theirs, even though it got paid for, but the payment got exploded. See, I don't know legally like where that shakes out, but for some reason, everyone just is like, yep, it belongs to the rich people. The rich people need to get paid again. It's like, oh, well, okay, well, okay, whatever. That's the premise. So for no reason they're fighting. They can shoot electricity out of their hands, which I don't think means anything. It's just it's a MacGuffin that they utilize later on, but also it's just like a cool like sci-fi thing that they wanted to put in. Like, oh, here's some humans that dress like they're from the 80s, which is the era in which we are filming this episode in. They love this stuff. They love shooting electricity out of their hands. Picard, so the entire planet only has 2 ships and they can't fix them. Picard sits down to mediate the dispute, and it turns out the barrel is medicine. If people are suffering from some kind of plague, and the riches, they have medicine that's expensive to cultivate. It's a big investment. They fear that they brought the plague on board, but Crusher can't find it at all for some reason. Crusher says that she didn't like the riches. I don't remember the actual name. I think they're the Breccians dragons and the whatever. But I'm just gonna call them the riches and the poors. They have the riches have no compassion. Crusher doesn't like them. The poors are suffering greatly, despite the fact that Crusher says nothing should be wrong with them. Now.
It's Ornarin. It's actually Ornarin. Is what they're called.
I'm gonna forget that the moment I start speaking.
They're called Ornarins because Ornarin sounds much like Onarin, which is Turkish for healing.
Really? Is that really?
Oh.
Is that really?
That's why. Yes.
Oh, interesting. It's like how the planet from that episode where they kidnapped the children was named Village in Spanish. or whatever the fuck it was.
Pueblo de hijos. This local dish, tamale, is delicious.
Riker, cook me up some tortillas, please. Thank you.
What is this free chole? That's delicious. I can't stop eating.
Picard says that. Hold on a second. Wait. Picard goes to negotiate with the two riches, and then sinister music plays as the riches are enjoying mimosas in their quarters. It turns out that the medicine is red lentils, and they
Yep.
and they describe the disease that's like, oh, okay, well, we take the medicine and we're totally good for 72 hours, but then it comes back. And we don't really know why. It defies all medical science. It's revealed that the poors they work as basically slaves. Fucking TV. There we go. Sorry. The poors they work as slaves for the riches who cultivate the medicine that they need to live. They get the medicine, and Crusher immediately realizes that it's crack cocaine, and the poors are all addicted to drugs that the riches make. Picard calls the relationship symbiotic, but no, it's the very definition of parasitic. Why is Picard one of those people that just think that symbiotic just means when anytime anything has a relationship with anything, it's a symbiotic relationship?
I have so much to say about this when we're done with the thing. I have so much.
We're gonna rip this shit up fucking part. So it's the very definition of parasitic. Whatever. Crusher's pissed at Picard, and Picard's like, the Prime Directive demands that we see both sides of the drug trade. Where's
Noriega?
Wesley says that he doesn't understand why anyone could be voluntarily addicted, but there was never a choice.
Tasha Yar tries to scare straight.
Yeah.
Tries to do a little scare straight thing with him.
It was a full-on dare program, skit where it's just like, well, you see, Wesley, I actually have this suitcase full of various space drugs right here. And if anyone ever offers you this type of fucking glittery powder, never do it, but it'll make you feel really good.
She pulls out a hand puppet. It's McGruff the crime dog.
So it doesn't make any sense. In the fiction of the show, the dare speech does not make sense. Yeah, why would C become voluntarily addicted? No, they all know. They tricked them into getting addicted to the drugs. They all know this. Why would Wesley say that? Is he victim blaming these people? I guess they chose to get. No, they were tricked. It was a trick. They won. They got one over on them. All my apes are gone. They stole all their NFTs, and their planet's poor now. But Tasha gives them the "Don't Say No" dare speech. And a little director's note: this episode was influenced by co-executive producer Marius Hewley's recent work on Miami Vice, that was intended to have the Enterprise come across a drug deal in progress. Hewley is also responsible for the insertion of a "Just Say No" style drug speech by Tasha Yar to Wesley Crusher, which came over the objections of the cast.
This isn't even the first time that Miami Vice, just as an aside, this isn't even the first time Miami Vice had been influencing Star Trek either. That same actor also influenced the episode I talked about last time.
Oh really? Oh, which one? Which one? We did two.
I can't remember exactly which one it was.
Which one was the other one? Because we had the orb, and I don't remember the other one that we watched. We watched the orb.
Me neither.
Did we watch the Femdom planet, or is that?
No, man, I would have remembered that.
Yeah.
The planet
the
where
one
every
where
woman
Riker-
is over 5'10" and
planet
every
where-
man is under 5'6".
Yeah, the planet where every woman has a house twink.
That'd be terrible, you guys. That would just be the worst. Wow. People in there.
Oh
Yeah,
no!
Oh man. Oh no.
Yeah, we had Kira on. We had Kira,
Bad house twink. Bad.
We had
Spray him with a little water bottle.
We had Kira on for that episode, and at one point she made a comment like, "Oh yeah, so by the logic of this episode, they'd be implying that like if a woman came down to Earth and she was like 8 feet tall, everyone would worship her." And I'm very proud that none of us on the rest of the Left Hook cast were like, "Oh yeah, no," we're like, well, actually.
Now that you bring that up, please come on. Please.
This is the most accurate science fiction concept to date on Star Trek.
I just thought how they tried to set up like the whole premise of this is Gene Roddenberry like tossing one to the libs as it were, like it's just like, here's a planet, stop telling me I'm sexist, here's a whole planet run by women, and then like and it's like we're gonna put Riker in a dress, and that'll appease the woke mob.
The sexism in the original series is so bad too. Don't let anyone listening to this, don't let anyone ever play that down for you. It is so bad. Women are lower than second class citizens in the Federation, in the fucking Star Trek the original series universe.
And I just want to say that the whole point of that episode was just so it was like, oh yeah, they came to it like great. No, the problem was solved because Riker had sex with the planet. Like that was
Riker had sex with Lady President, and then she realized that and then they gave a men's rights anarchist speech, and that's that's all the episode. Go check out whichever episode of Left Trek that was.
Go back,
go watch.
Hey, get out there! Subscribe to YouTube's.
So
the fuck you still here for?
So yeah,
was that the one we called Trents?
Yeah.
Trent. Yeah, the planet of Trent.
The guy.
And we bleeped out the E in Trents. Oh my god.
we established that one of the twink characters that episode is named Trent. So we established that Trent was actually a slur for trinks, and we blurred out the E. And we called the episode Trent, but we like did the little stars instead of the E. My proudest moment. But we get so it turns out that the riches, they're doing more trade agreement stuff, whatever. Crusher says that this is exploitation, which she's totally right about. Picard is like, no, you're gonna give them the drugs. So they're very happy that they're gonna get the coils for the ships, but oh my goodness, they can't fix the ships. Picard, they need their ships fixed. Picard can do it. No one on their planet can do it. And Picard's like, no, we're not going to fix your stuff. The Prime Directive, we were going to do it, but now we're not, because the Prime Directive tells us so. And that's clearly there to like establish, like, to give them some moral leeway to the audience. It's like, okay, well, we didn't solve the problem, but maybe we solved the problem, according to our, if we just play it by the rules, the problems get solved, which, like, I mean, obviously, that's it's not going to solve the issue. They're going to figure out some other way to continue this, whatever. We get, and that ends. They're not going to get their medicines. All the people on the planet are going to experience withdrawal symptoms, and they're like, we're going to die. And Picard's like, you guys are going to be just fine. They leave the cargo bay, and we get a sad final scene, because this is Denise Crosby's final recorded scene. We see her wave in the background as they're exiting the thing. It's very sweet. It's very wholesome. One of the showrunners then apparently went up to her and like ripped her fucking comm badge off her chest. It was like, he won't be needing this anymore. It's fucked up. Picard says that the junkies need to pull themselves up by the bootstraps and then cure themselves of addiction. Picard talks about how good the Prime Directive is and how about it's not interfering with less developed civilizations, no matter how well intended. Which clearly,
Centrism is good, actually.
Well, also clearly, they're also trying to downplay.
Don't have a boner while we're recording the podcast. I can hear your boner from here, Zod.
Put the lipstick away,
God.
Zod.
I love being right. So good.
we get so and clearly also they're trying to be like, well, some colonialism. It was actually well intentioned. It just didn't turn out very well. The episode ends with some shit. I wrote down IDK, IDC. Oh, sorry.
I have a thing. I really want to say this thing.
All right, let's go.
And I want to draw a parallel between this episode and Space 9/11 from Enterprise.
That's the end of the episode.
Because I did just go through saying that I liked Enterprise.
Yes.
And I'll put a caveat to that and say I liked Enterprise up until Space 9/11. Because they do a Space 9/11 in Enterprise where they obliterate Florida, which is, really, it's like a net win for everyone.
Yeah.
Well, they also take out a good part of Cuba too. Unfortunately.
Oh no,
Yeah,
not
that's
Cuba.
right.
What the
Yeah,
fuck?
Florida and Cuba gets 9/11.
I want to draw a parallel between this because when they did that episode for Enterprise, it had actually just Enterprise was airing at the same time as the actual 9/11 happened, and they took that opportunity for 9/11 and decided to write it into the show as Space 9/11. It was at that point in the show that Enterprise took a nosedive in quality and just basically became Enterprise is the Federation is the America Space Police. And I want to say that episode was written by people who had literally never seen this episode of TNG, where they did the exact same thing with Reagan's war on drugs. This is probably one of my least favorite episodes of TNG because they absolutely let Reagan's war on drugs write the episode for them.
Yeah.
This episode was basically written by Reagan's war on drugs, and it shows in every single facet of this episode, from the base conflict all the way to the problem solving that the crew goes through, all the way to Picard's staunch clinging to the Prime Directive for no real reason. This Picard, I'm of the opinion that the characters portrayed in this episode are not the same characters that are portrayed in almost any other episode of Star Trek. This is extraordinarily just the actual worst episode of TNG.
I'm a big advocate for ignoring parts of canon. People like to take all some of the shitty things, women being discriminated against in the original series, and be like, oh, the Federation went through a regressive period. It's no,
they didn't.
That didn't happen.
That's just writers being writers.
Exactly.
And I also want to say
this episode didn't happen either.
I also want to say that Crusher's moralizing about drugs isn't coming from a place of camaraderie with the species. She's moralizing about the fact that they're using drugs. She's not moralizing about the fact that they're being exploited. That's just like a little facet about their existence. She's moralizing about the fact that they're on drugs, like everyone else is in the episode, because the episode was written for Reagan. For Reagan.
Yeah. We can't.
They wanted Reagan to come on.
Crusher, breathe, Zod,
Crusher does.
It'll be okay.
Crusher does sit there and say we can help them.
Yeah,
we can give them we have the technology. We can actually give them the stuff, and once again it's both sides though, Crusher. You gotta think about it. You gotta we gotta both sides this, and
garbage.
I would say I hate Tasha Yar being the one to talk about this, because
she's from
she
the
is
gang planet.
Yeah. She's
Tasha Yar is every woman cop in an action movie who tries, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
The woman cop character in action movies who tries to scared straight the main character or some kid.
Mm-hmm.
Oh yeah.
She's the woman in the
neoliberal idea of to wash away.
Yeah, she's the woman in the Gangster's Paradise video. Rest in peace to Coolio. Yeah, it's basically the same thing. And in this episode was actually originally supposed to be that and that they come across a drug deal, like they changed it. There was, I assume by the context that I was reading this, that they were coming across like two people that were just dealing drugs. The one person was buying, one person was selling, just like somewhere out in space. I'm so glad we didn't have that. Like, you know, obviously this shit is pretty much just as bad, but I'm so curious, what was that episode gonna be about? What was these characters that were written in this particular episode going to do about, like, just seeing two people just buying, just seeing the buying and selling of drugs, just completely unrelated from everything else what would have happened? Were they gonna bust them to the Federation? Were they gonna be like Federation citizens? They were gonna call like the real Federation cops? It's like, so what the fuck is gonna go on?
With this episode's like insistence about moralizing the use of drugs, there's also that sequence, that really uncomfortable sequence with Wesley, who's like, why would anyone want to do drugs? I don't understand.
Yeah.
But I feel like it would have, I mean, even in the context of like this brain-rotted writer who wanted to moralize about drugs for Reagan so that Reagan would like him, so Reagan senpai would like him. Even in the context of this writer's like brain-rotted mind when he wrote the episode, wouldn't it have made more sense for Data to ask that question and not have Wesley there at all? Like, Data like actually would be kind of confused. Like, why would someone ingest that? What happens? Because he's a fucking robot.
Because they had to. You're absolutely right. And the real reason is that because it was scared straight. It was scared straight. They had to make the kid.
They're just doing scared straight.
Yeah, they had to make the kid ask, and then an
so my point is that
figure
it's not just a bad episode. It's bad Star Trek. Is my point. Like that's why I hate this episode so much. It's bad Star Trek.
Oh, 100,000%.
100% they were going for that like after school special kind of vibe.
Yeah.
And like just
this is the equivalent of Pee Wee Herman going, "This is crack."
What?
This is crack, and now I'm gonna go jerk off at a porn theater.
Yeah, as for people who have never done any type of illicit substance in their entire life.
Oh no, never. What is a drug? I don't even know.
What do we all think of Denise?
Wait, who else is here?
What do we think of Denise Crosby's description of why people do drugs, by the way, which is fuck, I really should have written it down. She does something like oh, they make you feel good, and that feeling and it was like, oh, that feeling isn't real. Then Tasha's like, no, that feeling is real, but then it goes away.
That's what I'm saying.
Can I read it? Can I read it actually? Can I read the words? The actual words.
Yeah, but I just want to say, if you've ever gone through the DARE program as a kid, that is literally what they talk. Like they tell you, like
this is just DARE propaganda. I want to say this is what Tasha Yar says. In the first place, nobody wants to become dependent. That happens later. Remember when I told you about life on my home planet? There was so much poverty and violence that for some, the closest thing to an escape was through drugs. In the real sense, it can't be an escape, but it makes you think it is. You have to understand that drugs can make you feel good. They can get you on top of the world. You're happy, sure of yourself, in control, but it's artificial because the drug wears off. And then comes what they call a crash. You just feel the opposite of the way you did earlier. Sad, insecure, like everything's coming down around you and there's nothing that can be done about it. Then there's a bunch of deleted lines. Wesley goes, doesn't that wear off too? And she goes, ultimately, yes. But the trouble is that a lot of people can't wait for ultimately. It gets nothing to do with common sense. They simply don't have enough willpower to ride out the crash. So they take more of the drug to cope, to feel the way they did before. The problem with doing that is your body adapts to the drug as you keep taking it.
Oh my God.
Using more of the drug often leaves you feeling worse and for longer after it wears off. That's how you get trapped. Before you know it, you're taking the drug not to feel good, but to keep from feeling bad. And at that point, all you care about is getting to your next dose. Nothing else matters. Let's hope for your sake you never
It just
have
keeps
to
fucking
understand
going.
it. Yeah. It's like a Citizen Kane level speech written for toddlers.
It's like 3 times as long. It's
And it's
amazing.
clearly written by someone who's never ever done drugs.
That literally made me want to do drug right now. But it's oh my god, yeah, no, it's this. Okay, I just want to say, like,
Doing drugs to get through the rest of this recording.
I saw when this episode started, I was like, this is actually pretty interesting, like how they're setting it up. Like they pull up once again, like the rich people, the poor, like the poor farmers.
I want to also specify that there's a lot of people out there who like don't want to do drugs or can't do drugs for any number of reasons, like straight edge people, and like that's completely fine. Like there's no force on earth that should like, you know, be pressuring you to like do drugs,
Except for your peers.
Except for your peers.
Pressure you.
But it should never come from like a moralistic place. Like you should never, if you're committed to like not doing drugs, that's completely fine. Don't be like a weird moralist about it, and like don't try and like make other people adhere to your Puritan idea of what that means.
And don't be a narc.
Yeah, the second you feel tempted to like turn a chair backwards and sit in front of a group of teenagers, just stop yourself and say no. Just say no. Okay.
Yeah, I would never make fun of people for like not wanting to do drugs. I would make fun of people for telling other people not to do drugs.
Exactly.
Like many things in life, the drug use is about consent. It's about having an intended experience that you want to do, and everyone wants to be very comfortable and safe in that environment. Simple, easy.
No. Yeah.
You don't want to do it? You go ahead. You want to do it? Well, you know, give me a call. I'm cutting that.
We're fucking live, Eric.
Oh my god, I've been banned from Twitch. I want to say that this episode could very well have been written from like co-written by like a pharmaceutical company. You know, this could have literally just been
Except
like
for
Philip Morris.
Get your drugs from a doctor.
Pfizer.
Except for Nexor. Yeah. You have back pains. Are you experiencing?
This episode could literally have been written by like a pharmaceutical company, because that's how they're painting the parasites. You know, the people who the people who live on the good wealthy planet, because their whole industry is based around selling drugs. And they're just lying to everyone else about the fact that they like have to take the drugs, you know?
Yeah.
Even in a world where they told the truth and that they said we're just gonna sell you really good drugs, like they'd still have an incredible industry. Like they could still support themselves in Star Trek world, right? That whole planet could still have a viable, thriving economy based entirely around selling drugs, and it'd be fine. But they're lying about it.
Yeah, like imagine if your yard was the only place in the world where you could grow weed. It's like
and then you told all of your neighbors that they were gonna die if they didn't smoke it.
You don't need to tell everyone else that they're gonna die if you don't smoke it. You've got a profitable situation on your hands.
Yeah, people are gonna want that.
Exactly.
That's what made me so fucking angry in this. Like when we were watching this episode.
This episode just doesn't want people to do drugs, so they don't bring that part up.
It's true.
Well, that's what I'm saying. Like they could have. Like that's like when the episode was going on, like before it became a PSA. Like I was like, this is actually really interesting. Like, how are they going to tackle this? Like I was getting excited. I'm like, you know, are they actually going to talk about like? Are they actually going to like go into depth? Like, is West Wing going to change? Like, what the fuck is going on?
Poor fucking Zot. We're watching this episode together, and Zot's like, "Oh, this is really interesting." And me and Brian having to like bite our tongues, like, "Oh, this poor man."
I'm so glad that you started Zots off on like the worst episodes ever of Star Trek. So that Zots can just be angry for the whole show.
I am. I really am.
It's a sociological experiment of me. How can I get
how
a
quickly
person...
can you break Zods? Oh, I know.
how can I give someone the worst impression of Star Trek that I possibly
How quickly can I make someone hate Star Trek?
Well, that'd be Picard in the original series, but
Well,
anyways,
that's a good,
just make them watch the final episode of the original series, Turnabout Intruder, where they establish that not only can women not be captains, but they show why women cannot be captains because they're too weak and emotional. Even if they inhabit Kirk's body, they're just gonna get too intense.
Oh,
and then
that's the body swapping episode.
Yeah. And then they're gonna take you to court to a while. It's like if the Turner Diaries were about women. Like it's one of the just grossest, most misogynistic pieces of television I have ever seen. Perhaps the most. Like I struggle to think of something more misogynistic than just that episode of the original series. And that's what Gene Roddenberry's opinion of women in the workplace back when he was making that. Like
Gene Roddenberry didn't die, he just changed his name to Jordan Peterson.
Yep.
Well, they put the rouge on their cheeks to simulate sexual desire,
and the Ferengi accentuate their ears so that everyone knows when they're ready to get down. I know that's true. That's the only thing I remember. Okay, that's the only thing. That's the only thing I know about Star Trek. And you know why? Because because what was it? What's his name? Fark or whatever.
Quark.
Disappointment in your voice, Nico.
His name's Quark. God.
Fucking okay, whatever. When Chalk was on Good Morning America, and he made Regis Philbin rub his ears, and I think Lottie Blix explained it to me, how that was how that the thing behind why that was funny, and I was just like, oh shit, that is actually really funny. That's a good meme.
Quark is a great character.
Oh, absolutely.
Quark is a great character.
Yeah, on a better show that apparently I'll never see until I'm in my fucking mid-40s.
well, listen. We'll get at this rate. We'll get to Deep Space Nine. If we record an episode every week, we'll get to Deep Space Nine in a year and a half from now. So
it's coming. You won't be 40 yet.
You gotta do Voyager before Deep Space Nine.
Deep Space Nine came out before Voyager.
Did it?
Yeah. It started filming concurrently with Next Generation.
I knew that they were filmed concurrently. I thought that Voyager had started filming concurrently before.
Yeah.
Voyager uses so many of the same of TNG sets.
Yeah, well, because Voyager comes right after TNG ends, and Deep Space Nine is at the tail end of TNG and the beginning of Voyager.
And they didn't need any of the TNG sets because space station, baby.
Yeah.
Hey.
I loved. Just as a side note, I loved Deep Space Nine when they were on the space station because it was just like a bunch of airport drama, you know.
Yeah.
That was my favorite part about Deep Space Nine because it was so different than other Star Trek shows. They weren't in a ship. They were just doing airport drama, and it was wonderful.
Yeah, and it was great. It held together by a phenomenal showrunner, phenomenal writers,
just really good characters, and excellent characters,
great characters, portrayed by amazing actors at the fucking top of their game. I'm surprised that only. Alexander Siddig. That's Julian Bashir's character, right? The actor.
Yeah, something like that.
Hold on. Hold on a second. These die and Julian Bashir, actor. Alexander Siddig. Yes, I was right. Thank God. Alexander Siddig went on to be a famous, a very prominent actor in a bunch of big budget movies. He was in an episode of Game of Thrones, playing a great character who gets totally fucked over by the awful show. But then like no one, I've hardly ever seen anyone else from Deep Space Nine in like anything else. I know Jadzia, she quits acting because she was treated like so horribly towards the end. Avery Brooks like retired to be like a Christian youth pastor or something.
Oh no.
No, well, I don't know if that's actually true. I just know he's very Christian. Yeah, but I haven't seen anyone else.
Garrick is in the first Hellraiser.
Oh, it's
Oh,
really?
hell yeah.
Oh my god, nice. Okay, cool. And of course, Rene Bourgeois, that's his name, right?
Yep.
Odo. He, of course, Mr. House from Fallout New Vegas. What an icon. Rest in peace.
Oh yeah.
Rest in peace to everyone.
Absolutely.
But yeah, great cast, made by great characters. Once again on
Really
Left
good
Track,
chemistry. Really good chemistry.
amazing. And once again on Left Track we have we were a commercial for how much Zot should be watching Deep Space Nine rather than
every fucking episode. It's a goddamn.
I don't think
it has to be.
get to watch Deep Space
It has
Nine.
to be. It has to be a fucking meme at this point now.
Yeah.
Like. I hear about it every fucking time we sit down and record. Actually, sit down and record.
Oh, but you should
like,
watch Deep Space Nine in a year and a half.
Yeah. Like anytime like there's like a
just dangling it in front of Zod.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, Deep Space Nine. It's coming.
There's
It's
really
coming.
good Star Trek. We talk about it all the time. keep showing up, Zod. So don't worry.
You'll get it.
You ready for skin? You ready for the Dare episode?
You know what would have made this episode way better is if they had gotten a stage show together of like a bunch of people doing like spoken word poetry about drugs or like some like real after school special shit.
They go
Like
back to the
just
jungle
jump the
This
fuck out of that shark.
They get broccoli. They get Lieutenant Barkley to come do the poetry, the slam poetry.
Absolutely.
Barkley would be. I'm surprised Barkley didn't invent Barkley yet, but wouldn't Barkley have been great for this episode? He would have been like the poster child, like, oh yeah, drugs are really bad.
All drugs in the Federation are banned. That's why I can't get the Valium that would fix all of my many disorders.
Oh god.
Another two phenomenal episodes of Star Trek season 1, folks. Any closing thoughts on the episode of Star Trek Drugs and Guns?
I do. And for as bad as this episode is, it was the invention of nose ridges for Star Trek aliens. How every alien has like nose ridges. This was the episode they invented that. Even the Trill, who don't have nose ridges later on in the show, even the Trill have nose ridges in TNG because of this episode, which invented the nose ridges.
Those sexy little bumps. It was
like,
you can tell they're alien because of the nose ridges.
We got a new makeup thing we just discovered. Check it out. Nose ridges. We're gonna put it on everybody.
Was that
everybody?
Was that like a popular body mod in the early 90s?
Nope.
Did people get some nose ridges back? I want some nose ridges because
can I get some?
Those are sexy. Those are sexy. I want some nose ridges.
The director for this episode said of this episode, quote, "There were so many continuity problems. Down on the set, we began to notice discrepancies. Some scenes just really didn't work together. The actors would say, my motivation is totally wrong here because a previous scene would be contradictory. They were trying to act scenes that they had never read before or that were substantially different from what they had read. That didn't happen for every scene, but it did happen. Because this episode was written for don't say no dare like propaganda because it's just propaganda."
And I would love to hear more of the details of the cast like rebelling against the writers and producers because they hint that like, oh yeah, this was all against the objectives of the cast. Like I would love to hear one of these actors just tear into this fucking like don't say no fucking just say no dare. I say don't say no. Just say no fucking dare bullshit. what an awful propaganda piece for the Reagan administration in fucking Star Trek. One of the second ones that we got, the other one being my favorite episode of season 1, which I didn't even remember.
The drugs for this episode,
red lentils,
which is called Felicium, by the way, which is Latin for happy.
Yes.
Right.
God, these people are so fucking lazy.
So the drug is called Felicium, and the dispenser for the drug is an alternator.
Oh yeah,
it's like a car alternator. They put the drug in the alternator and then just push a button somewhere on it, and then it dispenses the drug.
Which is
just red lentils. These people have just never had like red lentils before. They're just really stoked about eating red lentils.
They think it's really cool. They love it.
All right, I want to pitch my idea. All right, and then and then get ready, live listeners and viewers in chat here, because I'm going to say this thing, and then Nikatine and Trash Can and Eric are going to tell me, no, that's like 3 episodes from now.
Yeah. Right. Okay.
I feel like a better how they could have done this episode better if they just wanted to get the drugs thing going, was if Wesley.
I bet what he's back to say it's something they do in Deep Space Nine.
I bet, yeah.
If Wesley had gotten hooked on something,
already failed. If it includes Wesley, I can't endorse it.
and so Wesley gets high as balls and gets lost in the fucking holodeck, and they have to send a team into the holodeck to follow fucking Wesley through his like wild ass trip. And that's how, and then like once they get him, they like bring him into Picard's room, you know, or his office, like whatever the fuck that's called with the fish tank in it. And Picard gives him he goes in the ready room, and it's just a one-on-one between Picard and Wesley at the end of it, where Picard gives him the same fucking lecture about drugs.
Well, Zotz, you may be surprised for me to tell you this, but this actually already happened in a previous episode that we watched, where Wesley gets fucked up on the space.
Wesley was so cool in that. I fucking love that episode.
Yeah.
That episode was fucking great. That episode made me scared.
You're just describing Star Trek.
That episode.
Forgetting the stuff that we already seen.
As somebody who is completely fresh and new to this whole thing, that episode made me like kind of defend Wesley. Like I was like, just because like it was so great.
Going into
like
Rube takes too.
because like that whole like that's like one of the funniest things that I remember is
Rube
it's
track.
like Wesley, like everyone's mad that like Wesley's like on the helm or what, or not on the helm, but like on the PA system, right? And he's like, or the communicator, that's what it's called, on the communicator, and he's like we're gonna do this, and they're like or Picard's like, Wesley, we're not going to do that. And then Wesley's like, well, what would you do? And Picard's like, tells him what he would do. And then Wesley says, okay, got it. And then like does it or like does something like very different, like tweaks it a little bit, makes it his own. But it's like, doesn't give Picard back control of the ship, just takes his advice and then uses it. And then like everyone else is like tripping balls on ecstasy, and Wesley is the only one like doing cool shit, but like still looking at the lights, like all the pretty lights and shit. Like he
made a tractor beam go into be made into a go away beam.
Yeah, he was like, he was on his shit. He was really adapting to the fucking high. Like he was like, everyone else is like, ooh, pretty, and like, you know, grinding their teeth and trying to fucking find some like candy necklaces and shit. And he's just like bright-eyed, pupils completely black, and he's like, no, but if we figured out this, like, oh man, like this is, oh, give me some more of that space. What was it? Space vapor? I don't remember what the fuck it was.
It was a water molecule that had been altered
that had ecstasy in it.
Yeah, it was.
Yeah. It was alcohol, but like
it mimics the effects of alcohol. Air quotes.
It was totally. They were rolling hardcore.
That's why everybody was sweating so much and touching each other.
Nikatine once again, a master of MS Paint. Look at that. That's beautiful. Yeah, I love that. That's great.
But yeah, I don't know. This is still Rube Trek.
we call it Rube Trek, but it's actually cybernetic oblivion, as like these sections just get you know what I'm saying, just destroyed.
I have another thing to say about this episode, actually.
Right, yeah.
It's that while we're talking about the nerdery of this episode, this is actually the first time in the show that we get to see that the transporter system works with alien transporter systems.
Yeah, they
transport somebody from their transporter.
Yeah, they lock on to one another with their transporters. They dock the transporters.
Yeah,
they do some docking,
and their tractor beam fails.
It's a very weird conceit for the technology of the show, because transporters are also described as being like a really advanced thing, but also simultaneously like these morons like have it as well, and they just don't know how it works. Whatever, you can poke holes in this fucking Reagan bullshit all day. It's an awful episode. We all hate it. Well, what else can we say? Fuck Star Trek. Worst show on television. We're approaching the first like truly good episode of Star Trek in Measure of a Man, which will be in like another like 7 episodes of Left Trek until then. We got a whole lot more shit to slog through.
You've got a really good episode coming up. You've got Conspiracy. Conspiracy is probably one of my favorite episode of the first 2 seasons of TNG.
I've heard people say mean things about Conspiracy because it's hokey, but I agree with you. It is.
I would if you guys need a guest for Conspiracy. I would 1000%. I would come back.
What we can do. We can. There is actually a Patreon. I'm sorry, a paywalled on Patreon. Episode that I was thinking of doing of dropped plot lines in Star Trek, and that is one of the key ones, because we already have Julian Field from QAnon Anonymous for that one, or otherwise I would absolutely accept it. But we can cover that episode because there's also a couple in Voyager that I really want to go over, because Voyager is very famous for dropping plot lines, and also some wonderful like one-off science fiction concepts that I really like. So we can 100% do that one.
Awesome.
Also, of course, there's always the guilty pleasures episode, because Conspiracy is definitely one of them, and I really want to talk about. I'm sure, and I feel like you'd be excited for this too, Nikatine. The one where Picard does Die Hard on the Enterprise.
Oh my god! You mean like every TNG movie, every single TNG movie?
The episode,
because Patrick Stewart's main goal in life is to be an action star.
Patrick Stewart is a weirdo.
Patrick Stewart is the reason that all of those movies are like Patrick Stewart is like Captain Picard is an action star. Patrick Stewart is the reason that Picard is it's Patrick Stewart. He wants to be an action star, and he just rewrites the character as he sees fit to be an action star.
I knew he was allowed into the writing room for Picard.
He threatened to walk away from the show unless he got more creative control.
He wouldn't do it unless he also like wrote for the goddamn show. That's how they got him to do it in the first place. I did not know he did that for the fucking TNG movies too. God, I hate
that's why all the TNG
movies
are like action movies.
Okay.
With Picard is like an action star.
Okay. Let's make this one where I have like a younger clone of myself, and who's the actor that looks most like me when I was in my 20s? Fuck, what's the guy's name? The guy from Mad Max. I just had his name in my mind. It just
Tom
left.
Hardy?
Tom Hardy.
Mel-
Yeah. What was the actor that looks most like me when I was young? Tom Hardy. That's it. Let's get Tom Hardy in the role. He looks just like we're spitting image of one another. Really, he looks like me 10 years younger.
The stunt double for Picard is actually the same stunt double for the Doctor in in Voyager.
All right, I do have one thing to say though. If Tom Hardy and Picard were on set and they kissed, I'd love to see that. Just saying, okay?
We can. Do
Would
that
you?
on
Would
the-
you?
But current Tom Hardy though.
What
Like,
if we
I want
were
the-
Patrick Stewart and Tom Hardy and we kissed?
We kiss?
JK, us.
We'll save that for the disgusting fan
No,
fiction.
no.
premium
That's
episode.
the opener for this episode.
Okay.
Shut the fuck up.
Yes.
That's the
There you go.
opener for this episode.
Yeah, you found it.
Well, see, you know how I know that's
Captain Picardy.
God damn it.
Zotz, you know how I know that's not going to be up there for this episode? Because that would require me to listen through the whole episode for me to then decide to go back and then put that in while I'm editing and not just edit it as I'm listening to it. Like, so that might not happen. But who knows? I mean, this will go out if all things go right. This will go out like 3 weeks from now. So what else we gotta say? That's Left Trek, folks. These episodes a mixed I want to say a mixed bag, but no, not really. I don't know. Arsenal of Freedom, we good on that one? Is that one kind of like we have generally positive opinions of Arsenal of
I
Freedom?
love Arsenal of Freedom. Not just because Vincent Schiavelli, who I love as a character actor, but also I love the thought that the high and mighty like Enterprise crew with Captain Picard can be befuddled by a flea hole, and they have to like find, but they have to problem solve their way out of the flea hole, and I just love it. I love that. I love everything about that episode. I love it.
They get murked by a flea hole in a shampoo bottle.
I love the concept. I love the concept that this just exists in the Star Trek world of like planet Raytheon that's like destroyed itself already, and all they have is like a holographic recording that's trying to sell you like guns.
I
love that concept.
When you frame it like that, I do actually like that. The only thing left on the planet is an AI trying to sell you the weapons that destroy the planet. That's actually really good.
That is
love
fun.
I think we could write. I think we could brainstorm and write a pretty good episode of Star Trek around that premise.
A better one, even.
That's Left Trek, folks. Any closing thoughts? Anything that everyone's wanted to just get off their chest in the last however long we've been doing this.
Fuck Reagan. That's I think my big thing for this.
Cool.
Fuck Margaret Thatcher too.
Yeah.
All right.
And fuck the dead queen. That's
Yeah.
Left Trek. Da, 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 da.